Hello, and thank you for joining our Cisco Microsoft Better Together Solutions Lab. This is one of the first for 2026 here. We want to wish you a happy new year, and we hope you're staying warm wherever you are. I'm joined today by a fabulous cast of characters here from all over the board. We have Amanda Stewart. She's a Senior Program Development Manager for Microsoft. From Cisco, we have Protek Shanda. He's a worldwide program leader focusing on MTR and Cisco and all the great things in collaboration. Mike Brooks is our collaboration BDM with Cisco. We've seen him around. Thank you for joining. And last but not least, we have Michael Riley. He's a Cisco engineer here at D&H and focused on collaboration. So a great resource for you as partners. And finally, I'm your host, Aaron Shelton with D&H. I want to thank the brilliant panelists for joining us today and you, our audience. We do encourage you to check out the resources tab. That'll be over here on the side. For more detail on our topics that we're presenting today, and drop some questions in the Q&A for us. Following this, we're going to have a live Q&A session. We'll go through everything we can before we run out of time. But we have a lot of detail to cover today, so without further ado, we're going to jump right in. Protek and Amanda, thanks again for joining us. I'm going to hand this right over to you.
Awesome. Thanks again, Aaron. Really appreciate it. Thanks to everybody who taking the time out to hear why the Cisco and Microsoft partnership should be your ideal solution as you go to market. Always a pleasure to be here with Amanda. As you're going to hear from us later today, we're focused on AI-powered future-proof workplaces, and it's a theme that resonates both at Microsoft and at Cisco. And you'll start to see a lot of roadshows coming up from both organizations as well, where we'll be tag teaming in each one, where you'll start to learn a lot more about how this partnership comes together and how we work with a lot of our competitors in the market. But when you really think about why we're doing this call or why we've been on this journey around Cisco and Microsoft, I think it's been a fantastic story. And with that, why don't we jump right in? So Amanda, welcome.
Thank you, Protek. It's great to be here. And every time we get to do one of these sessions together, it just continues to build on this awesome partnership that we sort of never dreamed that we would be able to build together between our two organizations. So I'm very happy to be here. Thanks
I totally agree. And kicking off this new year, I think 2026 is going to be absolutely fabulous. And I think we've just got so much goodness, not only for ourselves, but everybody in the call today. There's a lot of crazy things going on, but I think if we focus in, I think we can do a lot of good things.
I think so too.
So wishing everybody an amazing 26. So back to the partnership, Amanda. So you mentioned, right? Geez, that's 3.5 years almost. Cisco, Microsoft. No one thought it was going to be, but here we are, and I think it's gone pretty well. Why don't you give us some more insights on this partnership, what we sort of heard, or the hesitation going into it, and where we are today?
Sure. In my whole career in the video conferencing and collaboration industry, I started in the late 90s, and if you didn't work at Cisco, and if you didn't work for a partner or a customer that was using Cisco, it really wasn't part of my world, right? I kind of was always in that competitive scenario. I worked at a number of manufacturers in the video industry, and we never worked together. There was never even that sort of co-opetition relationship. So when I came on board at Microsoft, it was that way, continuing. And then we get this big announcement that our organizations were going to start working together in sort of this unprecedented new endeavor. And really at the root of that decision for our organizations to work together was fully for the customer, right? To give them options and to give them choice. So I think on both sides of the fence, everyone was a little hesitant, like, what is the agenda here? What are we, this is such remarkable news. We see a lot of opportunity here, but is this really the direction that it's going to go? And it turns out, yes. I mean, I think both organizations just jumped in and said, hey, this is a great opportunity for our customers who've invested in both of our solutions, Microsoft and Cisco, to not have to be forced into a corner to make a decision on picking one or the other, right? So we wanted to give our customers the opportunity to have choice and freedom in their decision and not lose their investment, right? And to continue to get return on the investments that they've made in both solutions from both Microsoft and Cisco. So it's been gangbusters ever since.
Well said. And I think when you sort of look at some history where pre-COVID, where Cisco owned the space, I mean, you talk video, you talk teleconferencing was all Cisco, and everybody who knew who we were, but unfortunately it was proprietary, right? You were in that ecosystem. And here I am, 20 years at Microsoft and then coming over to Cisco. And I also was in the same position where I was like, Cisco? I don't know, right? Like, does this make sense? And I got to tell you, the reason I made this jump is of this partnership, right? We were in a situation where customers came to both these organizations and said, we need the best hardware in the market, and we need what now is our best application from a messaging perspective. And we want to blend the two so we can go to market with the best solutions for our employees and our user experience. And I think you're going to hear a lot about this partnership in terms of how we're allowed to engineer our products and the architecture that's different from anybody else in the industry, or from a security aspect, how we're different and what we can do that others just can't do. And that talks a lot to the capabilities, or right up to really large corporations that have tried and trusted, frankly, right, over many, many years. So let's talk a little bit about the market opportunity, right? So I know on the slide we sort of have it listed there about us being the fastest OEM quarter on quarter. We're still not number one though, right? And our obviously aspiration is to get there and be number one, and frankly displace the Logis and Polys and Yearlings of the world, and Meet, to name a few others. But how do our partners and customers sort of think through this fairly complex ecosystem now, about 19 manufacturers, and how do you weed that down? Like, how do we help them make the right choices, right? Not because we're saying so, but because we think there's value.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me kind of, from our perspective and the feedback that we're getting from our partners and customers, kind of break this down into, let's think of 3 different pillars, right? So there is a massive joint value proposition when we bring Microsoft and Cisco together. So to kind of summarize, let's say, if you want an elevator pitch, right, on how you can kind of direct this conversation. So Cisco's certified Teams Rooms devices, delivering intelligent video, right? Like, that's a no-brainer. AI-driven audio, seamless interoperability, right? So we think about that as being kind of the top of mind, and we know that Cisco is proven in the market space with bringing that capability. So those are the things that are going to help our customers enable inclusive, high performance collaboration devices across their workspaces. As we know, Return to Office 2.0, January was kickoff for Microsoft's RTO. So that's kind of top of mind for us too, right? So inclusivity, high performance collaboration devices across their workspaces. So then if we kind of go next layer, we think about one touch join, intelligent framing, right? Centralized management is huge. So via Webex Control Hub, Cisco empowers those hybrid teams to connect effortlessly, whether it's a huddle space or a boardroom or something in between, and inclusive of those remote participants too, right? So that's high level. But if we think about the 3 pillars that I really want everybody to kind of lock in on, right, and kind of deliver it this way in your conversations with your customers. So the premium hybrid collaboration. That just sounds like marketing talk, but truly it is. Okay, so premium hybrid collaboration. That's critical, and that's top of mind, and something that all of our customers globally are looking for. So it's not just a Teams certified device, right? It's a Cisco certified native Teams Rooms device that allows us, that's the part that allows us to deliver those Cisco components that we know are tried and true and proven in the market: intelligent video, AI-powered audio, seamless Teams integration, which is what gives you access to Copilot, those AI tools, right? Those Teams premium features, voice recognition, speech recognition, and facial recognition, so that you have your identity attributed to your meeting recordings and your AI content. Okay, premium hybrid collaboration. Dual platform management. This is key. Okay, so this is unique. It's dual registration with Teams Admin Center and Webex Control Hub, which is what gives our customers that advanced diagnostic information, right? Actionable insights. environmental insights, flexible customization through the RoomOS APIs. Okay, so that's in Protic, you'll speak more to this, I know. Then thirdly, smart workplace alignment. So at Microsoft, we are going to market with the AI-powered smart workplace, which means it's not just about conference room devices and collaboration devices, right? It's about scaling across other solutions, software, and devices in the workplace. So Cisco supports this AI-powered workplace vision. Copilot-ready devices, which you're only going to get if it's a certified native device. So Copilot-ready devices, Microsoft Places integration, and I know we have Cisco Spaces, scalable deployments that are going to drive ROI and operational efficiency. The fact is your customers are investing in AI. They're investing in things like Microsoft Copilot, and they are under extreme pressure to achieve a rapid ROI. And they're only going to get there if they get rapid adoption, which is not something that's easily done. It's not an overnight solution where you're going to get 100% adoption on something as conceptual as AI or Microsoft Copilot. So in order to drive that adoption, so we can get to that ROI for AI investments, we need to use devices like Cisco native Teams Rooms devices that allow users to use the platform that they know and understand how to use, right? So it takes that complexity out of it. So long-winded answer, but I really kind of wanted to frame it up in that intentional way.
No, perfect. Sign me up, right? I mean, I think you sort of really nailed why we are the sort of number one in the market. The only other thing I'd probably add to it, which is your pillar number 2 around the dual registration, are things like Thousand Eyes, which gives you that observability and visibility into the network, right? Which others cannot do. That ability real time to figure out what the thing is from the endpoint all the way to the cloud, right? Things that nobody else can do as well. And then you talk about the sensors that are built in, and you talked about the workspace optimization, and obviously we call it the AI future-proof workspace, right? So we really tie well together, and I think that's truly how we differentiate. With that, why don't we sort of touch a little bit on the joint sort of opportunity when we sort of look at the video space. We have lots of studies from the Frost and Sullivans of the world, et cetera, where I think it's 17% or thereabouts of rooms that are actually video enabled, leaving a giant opportunity. So when we look at Teams Rooms, love for you to share a little bit more about the hundreds and thousands of opportunities down the road here for all of us together, and how we sort of work together and hopefully go out and capture some of this stuff.
Right. The opportunity is huge. I mean, just to give you some perspective, we had our team for Microsoft Teams Rooms, we had record-breaking months, 4 months out of the last, the first half of 2025. So we are growing and growing and growing, and we are accelerating in that growth because, to go back to my previous point, organizations are investing in something that is brand new, it's expensive, and they are trying to figure out how they can use it, insert AI here, right, to boost productivity. So we know that we've barely scratched 17%, 18% of the white space for our customers that are using Teams. That means there are tens of thousands of conference room and spaces, collaboration spaces that have no video enabled. Those same customers are investing in tools like Microsoft Copilot. It's not cheap, right? And they're kind of taking a leap of faith and making an investment in something like AI because it's conceptual. Some organizations are still trying to figure out, like, how do we go beyond using this like a glorified search engine? How do we truly get to that point of leveraging it for higher productivity, faster to market, removing a lot of repetitive zero or low value tasks in our day. So if we know those things are true, what I can also tell you is that we know Copilot is used in Microsoft Teams more than any other application. There's a Copilot for every Microsoft product. There's a Copilot for PowerPoint, a Copilot for chat, a Copilot for email, a Copilot, right? But where it is used most is Teams. We know that customers are also using Teams for their, IM and send a link and join here for their meeting platform, right? So let's make that an easy 1 + 1 = 2 conversation for our customers and saying, okay, well, you've invested in AI, you're using Copilot, it's expensive, you need to start seeing a return on that investment. You need adoption to do so. And we know Copilot's being used in Teams because people know how to use Teams, right? So let's start using those native Teams room solutions in our meeting rooms so that we can expand that use and adoption of Copilot away from the desktop and into the meeting room, right? They know how to use Teams. They know how to use the native Teams rooms meeting devices, and they can bring Copilot into those meetings using agents, right? And you can't do that if you're not using a native device. So like the bonus of this conversation, right, is that now Cisco is developing native Teams rooms devices. So for those customers, right, that we know have adopted Teams and they're leveraging Teams and they're probably investing in Copilot and they probably have an investment in Cisco as well, this makes for a really easy conversation to say, okay, we can help you boost your adoption, get to faster ROI by leveraging these solutions in the actual physical meeting space.
No, I think you nailed it. And I think all of that gets sort of wrapped up with simplicity, right? Provide the best user experience, simple to deploy, easy to manage, right? And that's truly where this marriage or this partnership really shines. And I think with that, why don't we do this? Why don't we jump over to you? You can sort of dig a little deeper into your focus and things, then I'll come back on and bring it home. So why don't you take it away?
Sounds good. Okay, will do. All right. So I mentioned that I'm a senior partner development manager at Microsoft. What in the heck does that mean? So up until about 6 months ago, my role here at Microsoft was focused solely on Teams rooms. But now we have gone, and I'm still working on sharing. Give me 2 seconds, folks. Now we have gone to a broader approach, and it's really more around the AI-powered smart workplace, right? So that extends just beyond the Teams rooms and really tries to understand how we can help our customers become frontier firms, which means they're leading with use cases in AI. They're building their own AI agents, and they're trying to incorporate those solutions into their collaboration spaces as well. Here we go. Got it. Finally working for me. So through this conversation, I'll take 15 to 20 minutes with you. I'll kind of guide you through the AI-powered smart workplace, what we're seeing in the customer trends, and where the opportunity is, and then we'll touch back on how we kind of fold that into the conversation around the Cisco plus Microsoft relationship, kind of the value proposition there. So I mentioned, and this is no surprise to anybody who's watching, big investments are being made in tools like Microsoft Copilot. Okay, so that's just a fact. It could be that your organization is piloting or has, fully deployed Copilot, and you can relate to this conversation, what I'm going to talk to today, that there's like a bell curve, right? So we're trying to get users to that tipping point. What does the journey to that tipping point look like for personal productivity and organizational productivity, right? How do we get to that tipping point of mass adoption in organizations that have made investments in Copilot? It's not cheap, right? So it's, when we think about it in terms of relating it to what I have, like my productivity, how I can quantify that, right? So it's not expensive in terms of outweighing, right? The cost outweighing the benefit. The benefit definitely outweighs the investment, but as an upfront consideration, AI is expensive, and big investments are being made in tools like AI. Our customers see the vision, they see the opportunity there. But bottom line, part of this story is that big investments are being made, and it is a priority in boardrooms, on budget planning meetings and forecasts. AI, I promise you, is on the list. So just be aware of that. So let's kind of think of that, keep that in the back of your mind. Then let's think about how and why the way that we work has completely changed. You mentioned how prior to COVID, ProTick, Cisco was the market leader in these collaboration devices, right? So there's so many customers that have invested and really partnered with Cisco holistically for their collaboration solutions and even solutions outside of collab. And then came the pandemic, right? And then everyone became what I call a Teams expert, because so many organizations said, okay, well, we've got our Cisco hardware devices, but it's in physical meeting rooms where we aren't, having meetings anymore. We got to figure out a way to do this easily and efficiently from our desktop for our now completely 100% remote workforce. So we all know, we all lived, and experienced that. So what came from that is this demand for flexibility. And I mentioned earlier, we've got this RTO 2.0 happening, but I don't know many organizations that are just like, it's not a flexible workplace anymore. You're 5 days in the office, end of story. Some have. I don't know that it worked out well for them when they decided to do that. Time will tell. But there really is this demand for flexibility for everyone in every layer of an organization in terms of what their role is. And then we add AI to that. So this has completely changed where and how work gets done, which has really changed a lot of the way that we go to market with our solutions and what our customers are thinking of top of mind and when they are making decisions around collaboration devices. So I just like to add a little bit of editorial context to this conversation. This is also probably relatable. We have too many meetings, right? So when we think about how we met 15, 20 years ago, I've worked from home for over 20 years, but when I worked in an office, I took calls all day, and maybe I had scheduled conference calls, but I wasn't in back-to-back video calls for literally 8 to 9 hours a day. And so our meetings were really intentional. And when we came to that meeting, it was probably in a conference room with our colleagues, and there was like a printed agenda, sitting at your spot at the table, and maybe you brought a pen and paper. This is, my computer wasn't working yesterday, so I had to go back to old trusty tools, pen and paper. And then we knew what the objective of that meeting was. We didn't have to rehash for 15 minutes at the beginning of the meeting what we talked about last week. We were there to make decisions and be really productive and intentional in that meeting. We knew who was presenting. We knew the stakeholders of the meeting. We knew what the role was. We were all taking notes on what our action items were after the meeting. And then fast forward to what is the reality of meetings today. Our meetings are not super valuable anymore. Some of them might be, but how many meetings have you joined where there wasn't even an agenda in the Outlook email that you got and where you clicked the join meeting? So we're not sure what we're doing when we get there. And is it relevant? Is it valuable? Or are we just meeting because this is a standing meeting that we've had and we all need to, see each other? And it turns out we end up spending the first half of our 30-minute meeting rehashing what we talked about last week to bring everybody up to speed. And then we only have 15 minutes to talk about what we wanted to do today, which means, guess what? We're booking 30 minutes next week because we didn't really have time to cover everything. And then you join the next meeting and the next meeting and the next meeting. It's kind of built this practice of having meetings that aren't super valuable or productive. So it's leading to this hangover effect, right? And it's not something where you just feel kind of this meeting hangover for 5 minutes after an unproductive meeting. It's like it builds on itself, right? So this is why we spend, for those of us that are, sort of experiencing this schedule of our days, we just stare into middle space for an hour at the end of the day, right? Because we've been talking and meeting nonstop, back to back, and sort of like changing lanes mentally over and over throughout the day. And really, like, did we get anything super productive done, right? So it's this lingering effect that's building on us. Keep all those things in the back of your mind. This is what is leading to the AI-powered workplace demand that we're seeing in the marketplace. And the way I'll define the smart workplace for you is by saying, we try to remember these 4 components. Intelligent productivity. This doesn't just mean like work smarter, not harder. It doesn't mean, become like the 5 a.m. part of the 5 a.m. club and work earlier instead of later so you can have more productive time in the morning. No, this is intelligent productivity, which means AI is stepping in to remove a lot of those low and zero value tasks that always seem like the most repetitive tasks. Why is it always that the lower zero value tasks are the ones that we have to do over and over and over again, right? So intelligent productivity, using AI tools to help us be more efficient and productive so that we can focus on those high value tasks. I always say that Microsoft did not hire me 4 years ago because I was really good at PowerPoint. Like they didn't even ask me, right? It's not one of my best skills. I have really no intention of getting better at it. I only use PowerPoint because I have to do the high value parts of my job, like this, like collaborating with you guys all here today. So, but is there an AI component that could sort of take the place of this? What I might consider a low value task is putting a PowerPoint presentation together, right? Like let AI do that for me so that I can focus on my high value task. Rich engagements, right? So whether you are on your phone, working from home, in a Starbucks, in a airport, in conference room B, you have the same access to have the most productive meeting. Nobody is having a less than experience in that meeting, right? So rich engagements, no matter where or who is joining the meeting. Flexible workspaces. When I worked in that office 20 years ago, it looked the same every day. I walked in, C-suite against this, wall, cubicles everywhere else, conference room in the middle. And it looked that way every single day. And I saw the same faces sitting in the same places every day, Monday through Friday. But we know that that's just not what happens today. It's a different mix of people that are in the office using the different spaces in their different roles every day. So we need to have an AI powered smart workplace that is dynamic, and it changes to support the people that are in the office on any given day doing whatever their particular role is and whatever their collaboration needs are for that day. And then advanced protection, because top of mind, especially when we consider things like AI, security is absolutely the number one most important things for us to consider. And Cisco and Microsoft are both built on absolutely, security first initiatives. So smart workplace. We want to coordinate our people in our places. So, if I travel almost every week, and I could be in a different Microsoft office every week, how do we make it easier for me as an employee to tell my team that I'm going to be in the New York office next week? How do I book a space in that office next week? How do I make sure that when I get into that space that there are modern devices that allow me to have a native Microsoft Teams experience, regardless of what other technologies in the room? I need to go in the room and have a meeting that's effective and valuable and productive, right? How do I make sure that I know where I'm going when I get into that office? Maybe I've never been to the New York office before, and I don't know where the meeting room is, right? So how do we sort of fold all of our software solutions and hardware solutions in together to allow our people, the most valuable resource, to be able to coordinate and be productive when they come into any given space within our organization? So modernizing our devices is a really important part of that, because we want to be able to assume that when I walk into conference room B in the New York office, hypothetically speaking, I don't have to wonder if I'm going to be able to bring in Copilot into that meeting, right? I don't want to have to wonder, like, is my face and my speech going to be able to be recognized in this meeting, so that when I do start using a transcription, an AI-powered transcription, my identity is going to be attributed to whatever I contributed to this meeting. Let's take the guesswork out of that, right? And you can really only do that when you've got native Teams Room solutions, like from our partner Cisco. So when we have those modern devices in our spaces, whether it is a large space, a small space, a room that is, more of a flexible or dynamic room, but we know it needs to be video enabled, the native solutions are what is going to allow us to modernize those spaces and kind of remove some of this guesswork. For the users, the people that are coming in to meet, and they don't want to necessarily think about, like, what are the logos on these devices? Is it a device that is going to allow me to meet the way that I'm used to meeting, and allow me to use the tools that I'm used to using in my meetings, like Microsoft Copilot, for example. Okay, moving on. So what's the story? Like, how do we tell this AI-powered workplace story with Microsoft and Cisco? And this is really where a lot of your customers are going. Like, I would almost take a screenshot of this, friends, and use this kind of as your cheat sheet to have these conversations with your partners and your customers. So when we think about being able to coordinate productively, as I mentioned this before, but I always feel like, what does it say? You got to watch a commercial like 7 times before you even register what the brand is for the commercial. So I just kind of keep repeating things until somebody tells me to shut up. We got it. So let's think about the coordinate productively pillar. This aligns with the first pillar that I mentioned at the top of the call, with the smart hybrid, certified hybrid solutions from Cisco, right? So Cisco's sort of, and I need to add the word native there, right? Because that's really the important part. You can have certified devices that aren't native. What we're talking about here are the Cisco native Teams Rooms solutions. That is where you get that true integration of both of our solutions, right? So they're designed to deliver the frictionless collaboration. So we can allow our users, the people that are joining the meeting in Conference Room B, one-touch join, native Teams experiences. So if they're using Copilot and Teams Premium, they've got that speech and facial recognition. They know how to use agents, right? And so when they walk into that room, they see the Microsoft Facilitator agent is going. They've got to bring that agent into their meeting. It's going to take notes for them, keep them on track with their agenda, ask questions of the audience, make sure everybody is, being facilitated effectively for that meeting room. Centralized management, that's huge. Not just, from a user perspective, if I'm in Conference Room B, but from a management perspective, IT resources, right? Investments that are being made to modernize the devices in the room. If they're already investing in AI, they're thinking like, okay, so now I need to also modernize my devices. That's another investment, right? But when we can talk about this streamlined, unique advantage of having centralized management, right? So we can use the Cisco and Microsoft solutions together to do that effectively. That tells a much easier story in terms of, ease of use, ease of management for teams beyond the meeting participant within an organization. And then interoperability and flexibility for hybrid work. Absolutely critical component to this conversation, right? And then let's talk about modernizing intelligently. If we want to leverage the fact that organizations are investing in AI, they need to see ROI rapidly, right? They're under pressure to do so. And we know Copilot's being used in Teams more than any other application. And we know that our meeting rooms need to be modernized in order for us to have access to tools like Copilot, speaker recognition, facial recognition. We need to talk about how we're going to modernize spaces intelligently with Cisco native devices. That is the key, right? That is the endpoint that is going to allow us to access all of these wonderful, advantageous tools like Copilot, like the, dual management solution. It's the device. It seems like it should be, the simplest part of the conversation. We need to have that modern device in order to leverage all of the investments that you're making out here, right? So we're thinking broadly, but we really need to kind of get to the bottom of that funnel, right, as part of our talk track and say, but the device needs to be modern too. It needs to be the Cisco native Microsoft Teams Room solution. If you want the intelligent room experiences, if you want smart scheduling and space optimization, central management and interoperability, in addition to reaching ROI for your AI investments and get to that adoption tipping point within your organization, you have to have these modern devices. And then optimization, right? So space utilization, environmental intelligence, Cisco Spaces does all of that for you. Centralized management, automation, AI-driven meeting intelligence. That is the optimization that we're looking for. That is to use my analogy, take the PowerPoint, hours every day where I used to spend building my PowerPoint presentations manually. Take that out of let me optimize, right? What I'm focused on in my high value components of my job. Remove that. Okay, so this is like, when we think about that analogy, it's kind of similar to this, right? Like, it's AI-driven meeting intelligence. Take the guesswork out. Take the low value, zero value, repetitive tasks of my meetings out of the conversation, and let me just have an optimal, efficient, productive meeting that's going to allow me to have access to all of these amazing tools that our customers are investing in. So just to give you an example, I mentioned, this will be my last slide, Pro Tech, and I'll hand it back over to you. Facilitator. So we hear a lot about agentic AI, right? What the heck does that mean? An agent is basically like a coworker, right? So it's based on a large language model. You can build it to be specific for whatever your needs are. I've built several agents. I call them virtual Amandas, and they just do tasks for me. They answer questions that my team has for me. Just helps me kind of, focus again on this high value parts of my day. But now what you can do is you can bring agents into the native Teams rooms experience. So if I walk into Conference Room B, the hypothetical New York office Conference Room B, and I walk into a meeting room, We've got a Cisco native Teams Rooms device in that meeting room. There's a QR code on the display. I scan it. That just brought facilitator into my meeting. It's not just AI transcription of my notes. It's way, way more than that. I call it a project manager with an MBA is now in my meeting. And everyone can see it. The facilitator is having a conversation with everyone. It looks like it's just in your chat in your meeting. So think about that. In conference room B, I now can see my co-pilot facilitator chat that's saying, hey, you've got 5 minutes left of this meeting. Here were the 3 things on your agenda that you didn't get to. Hey, Amanda, it sounds like, Maren put in the chat that she has questions about this. Do you want to address that now? Oh, hey, guess what? We've delegated these tasks. Amanda has been delegated with the task of creating an executive summary from this meeting. Amanda gets an email after this meeting. Amanda, don't forget, you got this task and it's now on your to-do list. And when you do it, go ahead and do the task and check it off the list. And we'll let everyone else in the meeting know that this part's done. They can move on to whatever the next is. So it's much more than just a transcription, recording of your meeting, right? It is actually facilitating the meeting for you. Again, only with a native Teams room solution like what you get from Cisco can you actually bring tools like this into your meeting. And all in there, because I think this kind of covered, all of the highlights that I wanted to, unless you had anything else that you wanted me to cover, Protic, or things you were hoping to see.
No, I think that's great. I think you did really well. Might have to get you a nice Cisco image that's in high def for this slide, but
yes, please do. Thank you.
I think everything would look crisp and clear, I think, but I think you did a good job in landing the true value proposition, I think. And as we look at sort of the differentiation, it really boils down to there's no one size fits all. And as customers come to you and have this conversation around, hey, RTO 2.0 or versions of that, what does that mean, right? Focus on the experience. Focus on what your users really want. It's not about what you think they want. Take the time, reach out to facilities, reach out to HR, have that conversation, right? So I think you did really well on bringing that together. And I think the other piece, and I'll also dig a little deeper into this, is I think this is a great opportunity where we're seeing this amazing application layer meeting the edge, right? When we talk about the Microsoft and the Cisco piece, right? Application, you have everything you just talked about with Copilot and all the goodness there. Now we're talking about enabling the edge component and further too into the network with switches and everything else, right, that we're known for. So huge opportunity there. So thank you for that. So so let me jump right in. So I think for everybody on the call, right, so you've heard a lot of information, a lot of detail on, as I mentioned, sort of the application layer and the sort of edge layer as well. So if you had to take away, or if you had 10 minutes, right, and that's all you had to do to sort of go back and review what you just heard today, I'd say it'd be the last slide that Amanda just touched on and this one, right? These are the 2 slides that, frankly, if all you take away from this, I think we're in really good shape. But a couple of things, right, I wanted to sort of highlight on. As I mentioned in the beginning of the conversation, not all MTR devices are equal, right? We've got a lot of good choices in the market, right? So I want to be very clear there. A lot of great choices across the board from our friends in the business. But we do things that are different. And that's what makes us, we think, better. Our customers sort of agree, and we've sort of got our third-party analysts sort of agreeing with us as well. So why? First, how we architect. We're the only manufacturer that actually is allowed to take MTR and Android, basically virtualize it in a container running on top of RoomOS. So RoomOS has been Cisco's enterprise-ready Linux-based OS that's been around for 20 plus years, right? We're now in version 26. And what that allows us to do is give you the best of Microsoft Teams from a cloud perspective, with everything Amanda just highlighted, including everything at the edge. So all the goodness you see around the AI capabilities, the audio and camera and everything else you see on the left here is all built into the edge. So it's not bandwidth intensive. And this is the beauty about the Cisco Microsoft partnership. We're able to customize it. So now you get all the goodness of all our Cisco devices, including things like our macros and additional components we can add in that nobody else can in the market, right? Again, because of architecture. So that's number one. Number two, from a security perspective, we're the only ones that, because it's virtualized, don't expose Android to your network. That's huge for a lot of enterprise customers, right? Number three, A lot of enterprise customers are afraid of going to Android, will pick Windows. Not that it's bad, it's modular, it's more complex, it requires more management. What Cisco is able to do with Android is offer our customers that simplicity. Plug and play, get a room set up in under 18 minutes, but have it be the most secure platform for you. Again, nobody else can do that. MTRoA. We know our customers are multi-platform. Yes, they're using Teams as their primary, but they have to join Webex, Zoom, Google Meet calls, right? From their partners, from their customers. Guess what? We're the only vendor in the market that allows you to join these with the rich experience that you deserve without a reboot. Nobody else can do that, right? And then security I touched on, and obviously dual management, I think Amanda did a really succinct job on why. Yes, all our competitors have their version of cloud, their version of dual management, but I promise you, it's probably 20% in terms of capability. Because when you look at Cisco, we've been a security networking observability shop for many, many years. And we've brought that into workspaces. So you now leverage our devices, including this richness, and the capability you get with dual registration is bar none. So those are the keys to the takeaways for you guys here. But let me go a little deeper now in terms of what this really means and how you can do more. So I lost my screen. All right. So when you look at Cisco, right, we talked about why we're different. A lot of our other competitors in the market are devices only manufacturers. Again, not a bad thing, right? Puts them in a very niche situation, but that's what they focus on, right? When you look at Cisco, for us, devices is one component of our entire go-to-market around future-proof workspaces, right? Amanda touched on what that looks like from an application perspective. Now imagine surrounding all of that, she touched on intelligent infrastructure, right? But what does that mean as you scale out from remote workers, working from anywhere, working from a Starbucks, working from a car, on an airplane as an example, right? Or in situations where your Wi-Fi isn't secure. You talk about Cisco solutions in that space with things like our AP endpoints and Wi-Fi 7, et cetera, right? You could be at a football stadium, right? We're just in playoff season. And this is very real, right? But how do you ensure that all of this comes together in the most intelligent way, leveraging AI components and providing you the best infrastructure available? Smart buildings. This has been a topic of conversation for many, many moons. Sustainability is huge. How do you now take all these edge devices and ensure that you're leveraging all the capabilities, all the analytics, all the data that you get from a Cisco device without having to invest in additional sensors or endpoints that you have to do with our competitors, right? Another key differentiator. Then we have things like our contact center. We talked about agentic AI, right? We have those components at Cisco. We have all these other things like Webcast and additional components that tie very nicely into the Microsoft ecosystem that your customers have. And then boils down to that observability and zero trust, right? Amanda did a really good job in saying, hey, we're both security first, right? And when you add Cisco as a platform to that, it takes it to the next level. So these are sort of key differentiators for us, where you sort of look at Cisco and we sort of sit differently compared to all the other manufacturers in this space, because we have that much more from a portfolio perspective. I touched a little bit upon our analysts, right? So customers are buying in with the fastest growing MTR manufacturer. When you look at our third-party analysts, right? You look at Frost & Sullivan. This is from 24. They just 2 weeks ago listed us again as a leader in this space, right? 2 years running. You look at Omdia, very AV-centric. So if your partners are focused purely on AV and video, they care about Omdia. Omdia has put us way far out on the top right when it comes to enterprise video, right? This is, and you can read the detail. It gives you a really good job on the why, right? Why are we different? How do you sort of look at the Cisco Microsoft ecosystem and see why we're different? And then obviously IDC, right? Again, when you compare us to everybody else, we're in the far right. So we're proud of this, right? And we continue to sort of push, and we've got awards on our devices and hardware as well. Now we talk about flexibility, and this is something I touched on as well, is when you look at a Cisco device in Teams room, and Amanda's sort of really hammered it home on native. It's the ability to, when you get our device, it's the same SKU, you boot up, right? You got to make sure you have the right version so it has the container for MTR. When you boot up, it asks you, do you want to do the Cisco device UI or you want to go native Teams rooms. You select native Teams rooms, right? That's what you wanted to do. And once you get there, you get this amazing native experience with all the richness and other goodness that you get with a Cisco NVIDIA powered device. Oh, by the way, if I happen to join a Webex meeting on a Cisco MTR, I get the full native Webex experience. If I join a Zoom call, I get the full Zoom CRC experience, dual screen, audio, content, video share, all without a reboot, right? This is stuff that nobody else can do except Cisco with the partnership. From an architecture perspective, I'll let you read the slide, but we've got pen tests, white papers that show you why we're more secure. We allow you to do things from an enterprise perspective that, again, nobody else can do, given the trust and the partnership between Microsoft and Cisco on how we architect. And you'll start to hear more, again, as MDEP comes to market. And you're starting to see February onwards when you'll start to see our first devices hit. But then everything post-February will be MDEP certified going forward, right? That's a commitment we've made to Microsoft as part of this partnership. And it's something we're going to continue to do. But again, from an architecture perspective, you shouldn't see this slide from any other competitor. Why? Because they are unable to do it, right? The ability on an MTR Android device to be fully secure, enterprise ready, running multiple applications, giving you that full rich native Teams rooms experience is only available with Cisco. Why? NVIDIA, right? So we came up with this partnership. Cisco's been doing NVIDIA for about 14 years now. And then more so realistically, about 8 from a video perspective. And then for the first time, Microsoft actually certified NVIDIA and Cisco for MDEP, right? So huge steps. From a portfolio perspective, we've got a full portfolio from the smallest executive utilization from a small huddle space, Commander as well, including our most complex rooms with multi-divisible rooms. We can do all of that. We can actually do some of the simple divisible rooms with macros. Again, not anybody else can do that, right? Including accessories that are certified for Teams. So super critical on providing you with the best experience that's required. Now, we all know in this RTO 2.0, no two spaces are the same. In fact, I was reading an article from Coronet that was posted in November talking about the amount of time and energy customers are spending. And unfortunately, a big percentage of them just go with what they've always known. Right? They'll go and sort of develop these spaces because it's the thing. Everybody's talking about it or everybody's doing it. Guess what? That doesn't work because every work group is made up of a diverse set of people. And within that group, they have different requirements, right? I sort of saw this term, which sort of took me by surprise. It talked about sort of employee diversity and equality when it comes to meeting spaces. Now, when all of you should take a pause and say diversity, inclusive, like what are they talking about when you're talking about devices and spaces? It comes down to work styles. Everybody has a different way of working. Everybody expects a different workspace. I might go to the office and I want somewhere peaceful and quiet. Other people might want to go into the office and expect this sort of water cooler experience where they're surrounded by people and the sort of hubble and bubble and they sort of get excited by that, right? But it's not a one size fits all. So how do you sort of bring together this sort of simplicity, a portfolio that's similar, that is standardized across the board, globally available, and providing you with that same experience regardless of which office you're in? Amanda touched on, hey, if I go to New York, I want to make sure I walk in a room, I join a meeting, and I'm done. I don't frankly want to care what device it is or what platform's running. I just want to be able to join a meeting and have it work, right? That's our sort of distance zero concept at Cisco, where within 10 seconds, we want you to be in a meeting, be able to share and be done with it, right? And again, you can do that with us because we keep it simple and we can go regardless of type of space, type of use case. What your experience is give you that best case scenario. We've already touched on this quite a bit, so I'll fly through it, but beyond just video, all our devices have sensors built in. You don't need to purchase anything separate. The moment you deal register, you light all of this up. You are able to capture all the analytics, all the data real time. It does things like people count. Even when you're not in a meeting, I walk into a meeting space, we have a physical meeting. We're having a chat. We're using a room facilitator with Copilot to capture a meeting. Guess what? The video just captured and analyzed that there were 5 people in the room that used the room for 45 minutes. And There were 4 chairs, etc. Here's what the temperature was. Here's what the humidity was. Here's what the ambience noise was in the room. And it now all sits in Control Hub for you if you need to go back to it, right? Super, super powerful. Digital signage. Not a lot of people know this. We offer digital signage for free through Control Hub. When your team's rooms aren't being utilized, guess what? You can have a message from HR, from finance, from your C-level saying, hey, go out and buy more Cisco. I'm just kidding, but you could, right? So that's the point. One click to distance zero. You're going to have a lot of conversations, and it's a lot of our competitors are frankly jumping on board here as well, right? I'd like to say they're jumping the bandwagon because I think we came to market first, but they might say otherwise. But that's a fight that I'm willing to have with them. When you think about our devices, whether it's our Ceiling Mic Pros that came to market months ago, or we just launched the Room Vision PTZ, or our Table Mic Pros, or our switches, they're now all AV over IP, right? PoE switches, simple to plug and play, auto setup, auto deploy. And that's the beauty again of Cisco. Imagine now being able to plug in a Cisco 9200 switch, plug in a video, and it automatically knows through AI that that's what you're trying to do. Auto provisions your microphone, auto provisions your video, cameras, and you're off to the races. Oh, by the way, now through Control Hub, with dual registration, I can now see whether I'm having issues at the switch level, not just the device level, not just in the room, but across the stack, right? Again, only possible with Cisco. So we touched on Control Hub, and this is super cool. Again, if you haven't played with it, play with it. The team at D&H can help you set it up. Set up a sandbox, get your hands dirty. I promise you, you love it. Super detailed, gives you everything across platform, across device. We've got tie-ups with the likes of Samsung and others. We'll start to do some really neat things from a firmware perspective, but it tells you how many screens you have, what other microphones you have from third-party devices. Are they offline, online? Are they working, not working? What you should do proactively to go out and fix it, what you can do differently. If you're in a call, how do you change it? If you have workspace analytics you got to work on, how many times is the room utilized, etc. Right? These are all things that you get out of this single investment with the Cisco Microsoft story. Insights are super rich and powerful, as mentioned. You need to dual register, right? So when it comes to licensing, you could set up a Cisco Microsoft Teams Rooms device straight out of the box through TAC. You're off to the races. Done. No Webex licenses required. If you have been a Cisco shop, you already have Control Hub. It's just a matter of dual registering and you're off to the races as well. As simple as that, right? So reach out to the team if you have questions on this. It's not adding anything additional or it's not any more complex. We touched on the one button to join in terms of the CRC components, right? So this is, again, that rich experience, multi-platform in a native Teams Rooms experience that others can't give you without a reboot. Super critical, right? Customers want the simplicity. Walk in a room, get the best experience I can without having to do a reboot or go to multiple devices. Our panels obviously give you the occupancy. They give you ability. So as I walk in, the color changes. I can now see the people count on the screen. And it gives you a lot of cool details that you don't get with everything else. Our sensors are also built into the panels when it comes to workspaces. A little more detail on what the value proposition is on the dual registration. So you sort of see the why and reasons to sort of get more. And then there are a couple of tools that we've launched that I think if you haven't leveraged, you need to use. So this is the award-winning design tool that we've published called Workspace Designer. Search it. It's available for free to customers, to partners, to obviously D&H. We've had customers take their global standards down from 39 rooms to 9. All based on this tool. You're now able to go to a customer is able to now come to you and say, hey, here's my standard, here are my rooms, here's my design. You can go in with them, go tweak, go design. And we've also given you the option to do custom builds like divisible rooms as well, which you now have access to. And the beauty about all this, it gives you the BOM at the end and it emails it to you. And oh, by the way, you can edit it after the fact as well. It saves you days and days of CAD work, days and days of investments that you're currently spending on your own that you don't have to do. We've also got journals, right? So, and documents of how to deploy, how to go to market. And we've touched on our architecture being a tad different. We've touched on the dual registration aspects that are a tad different, but then it unlocks these capabilities that you won't get from any other manufacturer. We have these guides that are constantly updated. We're going to start to do a lot of boot camps and workshops coming up as well, so stay tuned there. We're going to be showcasing some of the different ISC at Infocom again down the road in June, where we'll have a Microsoft Cisco partner showcase, right? So come and check all these out. But these are available, ready to go. If you need to find out more, please scan the QR code. Again, you'll have access to the decks. But what I'm going to tell you here is this partnership is super real. We're able to do a lot of great things that a lot of our manufacturers can't do, right? We're not just another video vendor. We're not just another partner. And, Amanda, I think, did such a great job, as we always do, on sort of providing all of you the value proposition on what that better together story is, right? Why are customers betting on Cisco and Microsoft? Why are a lot of our partners betting on Cisco and Microsoft, right? Hopefully you've seen and heard in this short presentation what the value propositions are. Reach out to us with questions. Obviously, Aaron and Mike are there. You have our emails on here as well, myself and Amanda. We're happy to work with you. Mike Brooks is around as well. So I just want to say thank you from us. I think we're going to roll it back over to Aaron, but really appreciate the partnership. Again, we're here to support you. End of the day, our success is based on your success. We want you to win. We want to ensure that Cisco is the #1 MTR vendor globally. That's our aspiration. And with all your support, I think we're going to get there, hopefully by the end of this year, making it a year to celebrate. So with that, Amanda, thank you. And with that, I'll pass it back to Aaron to take it away.
All right, Protec, Amanda, thank you so much. Just beautifully presented. Couldn't have done it better myself. So at D&H, of course, we work with Cisco. We work with Microsoft. The recent partnership has just been a drastic shift in the meeting solution space. We're loving the love in the air. It's like spring every day, kind of working in this situation. It's something I never thought I might see, but here we are, and it's really working well. And they're bringing together the best-in-class hardware with Cisco, with the best-in-class management as well, that control hub. There's so much you can do there. There's so much you can do with the devices. You can put them in as a basic install, or you can get incredibly granular and add in API features and all sorts of other stuff that you can do with the hardware itself. So yeah.
One more point I got to add. I always forget this, right? So every session we've done together, and when we have our Microsoft resellers in the market, or even our customers, I say, hey, show of hands who thinks Cisco is super expensive. And I kid you not, every hand goes up. And I want to be very clear today to sort of share with all of you, with our new portfolio, we're super competitive. We're cost competitive, where we've beaten other competitors on deals. So don't take the legacy sort of perception that we are. Reach out to the team, ask the question, make sure you're having Cisco at every conversation, that we're at the table. And I promise you, you'll be surprised, right? You'll get all the goodness we just talked about for a very, very competitive price point. And that's how we're going to get to that #1 partner for Microsoft and our customers, right? So just have to throw that out there. So back to you, Aaron.
And I'll absolutely second that. Get in touch with our team. We'll help build the solution for you. We'll help you through that deal registration process, and you'll see some very hefty discounts that are going right now. So definitely can help with that. Mike Brooks, I don't want to steal your thunder. You're a master of bringing the whole picture together, from partner programs to solutions available to the product itself. For our partners on the line, let's tie this together. Where do they start? Where do they go? What's the benefit here?
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Amanda Protec. Wow. Right. I can't believe it. It is clear to me, based on all the conversation that you had, that the Microsoft Cisco partnership is like chicken wings and blue cheese. I'm from Buffalo, so I'm going to blue cheese, right? Sorry about you ranch guys out there, right? It's cool. Stay with your ranch, but it's chicken wings and blue cheese for me from this standpoint, right? The native team's experience is fantastic. When you look at that, right, it truly brings back to value, this value and ROI that the partners are looking for, right? Cisco is in this space as a player. We want you to be have Cisco top of mind during your conversations. We know you have choices, right? But it's clear that Cisco is the best choice, right? Myself and Mike Riley that are here, we have a marching orders, and our marching orders are referred to as the 5 Ps. Mike and I go after programs, promotion, process, procedure, and people, right? That is our main goal. Ask the questions. Mike and I will deliver you to where you need to go to. Make sure you understand all your programs, process, promotions, and procedures, and have some fun doing it, right? It's the demystification, as Protect said, that Cisco is hard to work with or we're too expensive. It's not real. Let Mike and I go through that entire process. Make sure that you understand it's very competitive. We want to help you make the right choices and make sure that you have Cisco as top of mind. So, Aaron, I'll push it back to you. Looking forward to seeing you guys.
Yeah, and one more
Yeah,
thing,
right.
if I may. Sorry to steal the thunder, but Mikey said something really critical there. It's Cisco's hard to work with. So let me throw this out as well. If you find that we are, or if you find that you're struggling to get through to Cisco, drop us a note. We shared our email IDs. You have Aaron and Mike on the call. You have Amanda on the call. Share us a note. We'll fix it. Right? Hopefully you're starting to feel and sense that Cisco is changing. You have a new partner program coming out in less than a month. Right? We're partner first, customer first. Don't forget that. We're here to support you, as I mentioned. Right? So please reach out, and we make it work.
For sure. And one of the things we want to do at D&H is simplify these programs for you. Sometimes things do look complicated. Part of our job working with you as partners is to distill that into something that's workable that you can build into your programs, your daily sales process. So that's definitely what we're here for. And to that end, Mike Riley, you're on the front line here. You're helping partners and internal teams build Cisco meeting solutions and work through Workspace Designer, all that sort of stuff. How do they reach you, and where else can you help?
Thanks, Aaron. We work primarily through email. If you're working with your D&H account team or specialist team, they can relay relevant requests through to us where a little more depth is needed, or you can email us directly at ciscoengineering@d&h.com. That's for the Cisco pre-sales engineering team, myself included, and all lines of Cisco. You can also reach us by phone at 800-877-1200, extension 6801. We're here to help with your pre-sale needs, whether it's room design or validating your own design. We can help with equipment selection and licensing needs, product details and questions. We're here to help enable you to be successful with Cisco Collab. And with Mike Brooks backing me up and all the technical prowess at Cisco, we'll be able to answer your questions.
Thank you, Mike. We're the team is very much in Cisco day to day. You might touch Cisco once a week, once a month. My team of engineers is in the process every day. So we get it, we understand it, and we're here to kind of simplify things for you. So we'll close this up a little bit and move to the Q&A. Amanda, Protect, Mike, thank you very much for the great presentation here. We're going to jump to some live Q&A. Please, everybody on the line, drop your questions into the Q&A panel, and we'll do our best to answer all of them before we run out of time. Thanks again for joining us, and thank you for everybody on the line. Just beautifully done. I appreciate all of you. And let's jump over to Q&A.
Thank you.
All right. So that's our presentation, but we do have a number of questions from the audience. We want to kick through those real quick. We'll kind of go through everybody and through your questions. If you have any questions in the meantime, that you thought over the course of the presentation, go ahead and drop those in the Q&A box. I also want to remind you that we have some great resources there in the resource box, a few links with some helpful information and just kind of things to get you started. We're here, of course, to get you more detail, but we wanted to give you at least some of the basics over there. So kicking off, we'll jump into our little question box here. And Mike Riley, I'm going to start with you. Is Webex and Teams licensing required to run a Cisco device in MTR?
Cisco licensing is not a requirement for that. You can add the device registration for additional analytics and better maintenance experience with it, but the device can be managed through the Microsoft Teams Admin Center. You don't need licenses to join meetings with that, but you would for hosting meetings.
All right, perfect. And I actually thought of one other use case for that. If you do happen to register it on the Cisco side of things, and your network backbone is still Cisco, and you're running Cisco spaces, then you can take advantage of those device metrics. So people count in a room, basic room ambiance, and that sort of stuff. So a little bit of an advantage there too if you connect it up with the Cisco side. All
Aaron,
right,
let me
so
add
yeah,
a few more things to it as well, right? So
absolutely.
from a Microsoft perspective, TAC Pro license, right? So you need that for all MTR devices, and then you're done. But if you wanted then, as we've talked about during the session, leverage Control Hub, leverage all the analytics and the workspace sort of tools that you get, Control Hub and Dual Reg makes total sense, right? So that's sort of the push we want to get you to. And you can do that through the 8- device queue as an option, or we're looking at alternatives as well, in addition to the 1-year warranty we just announced.
Thank you, Protek. Actually, yeah, we'll get this next question over to you. Can I convert my older devices, like the Kit Mini, Room Kit, old favorite devices? Can we get those to native Teams mode?
Great question, and it's a lot of customers have asked this as well, and there's technically challenges on us allowing you to get there, right? It's just limitations on the hardware. So since we launched the new portfolio about 18 months ago to 24 months ago now, every device that's coming out new since, so think Bar Pro, Desk, the Board G2 onwards, will all be Microsoft certified, and everything new moving forward will be Microsoft certified as well. And that's with NVIDIA jointly. So moving forward, you're good to go. So you have your future-proof locked in. But unfortunately, the previous, I'd say, legacy gen devices are unable to be upgraded, which sort of leaves the question into, hey, CIMT or VIMT, sorry, right? From a licensing perspective, if you have a Microsoft customer with a Microsoft shop, definitely start to have the conversation on going native with our newer portfolio. And they'll get the absolute best experience.
All right, thank you. That sounds good. Mike Brooks, your turn this time. Is there marketing is there marketing content that we can use to share with our state and local government agency customers? This helps to gain some attention from them.
Absolutely. So there's 2 avenues you can check out from the Cisco side for marketing content. So inside our Sales Connect tool, there's a variety of different resources available, not only on our MTR discussion and interop capabilities, but all of the data sheets pertaining to each and every single one of the devices that have been talked about in the presentation as well. Also cool campaigns as well through our MVC tool as well. Right, we'll be able to put those links inside the resource tool for you to check out. But there are specific use cases for state and local federal government as well, included in our Sales Connect page. So I encourage you to check out the Sales Connect page for that information.
I'll second that. There's a load of information there. It's even almost hard to get through, but if you do a little bit of sorting and that sort of stuff, you can usually find what you need there. And of course, our team can help you dig something up too.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if anybody needs something specific or wants to have a conversation, I'm always willing to have that conversation with you, Mike, and whoever the partner is that wants to have it.
Thank you. Let's see. I'll take one of them. And I think I know what this person is asking, but I can follow up with you afterwards if we need to dig into this a little bit more. But is Facilitator available outside of the native devices for MTRs? In a respect, yes. If you have those devices, that are native, of course, then you can use the Facilitator. If everybody's just connecting with computer, a little bit different scenario, then it then requires those users to have the Copilot license to pull in facilitators. And there's a couple ways to do that. You can chat at Facilitator and bring them in, or even set up the meeting at the front end with Facilitator turned on. So a little bit that you can do there, but there's some licensing on the Microsoft side just to make that happen. For non-native devices, if they're connecting into Teams, like some of the older room devices, it's not going to work in those cases. Let's see here. Let's go over to Mike Brooks again. Do we need to be a Cisco partner at all to sell the meeting hardware to our Teams clients?
Oh, what a great question, right? So here's where we're at. So Previously to some of the older generation devices and some other things, there used to be a limitation where you needed a specialization or a certification in order to purchase that particular product. When we came out with the interop capabilities at MTR, we removed all of those certifications and specializations, and you only need to be a Cisco registered partner, which is fantastic, right? So how do you become a Cisco registered partner, right? Myself, Mike Riley, can definitely walk you through that process. It literally takes 5 minutes. Within 5 minutes, we'll have you up and becoming a registered partner, and you'll be able to do a deal registration for your device across the board.
Definitely a much easier road to entry than there used to be. Thank you very much. Let's see, Mike Riley, is there a resource to help build meeting room layouts? How do they do that?
Cisco has provided a very nice resource in the new workspace designer. It's available at webex.com. You can put the link up for that. Workspace designer gives you scenarios to start with. You can lay out all the equipment, see where coverage is for microphones, cameras, make sure the room is covered. That works hand in hand with the video room calculator as well. They can sort of bounce back and forth to get the room dialed in.
I'll add one more thing onto that, Mike, right? And you said some really good feedback about the designer tool. Like you said, it is an awesome tool, but one of my favorite parts of the entire tool itself is after the room has been designed, there is an export for a PDF that actually gives you a bill of materials on what said room would look like. That also allows you to export into an automatic deal registration inside CCW. So I know there's a question I can see on the screen from Vince there as well, is that how do we make this deal registration process easier? This is one of the ways that we're doing it from our standpoint through the designer tool, using some cool AI features and functionality, the ability to put that room together and export that into CCW for you, where then you just pick the incentive, click, 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 approve, you're done, right? So much better. But definitely use that PDF as a great leave behind and a great way to make deal registration easier.
Nice. All right. Thank you, Mike and Mike. Yeah, and that was the actually the last question we have in the queue at the moment, unless somebody feeds one in while I'm talking here. But he did say, great product. Now you just need to make the deal reg process easier. And you know, we've all been there. It is difficult. I've worked on all sides of the Cisco system, and sometimes it's a pain. But they are looking to improve always, and we do have people on our team talking to their operations group. And so if you have good feedback, do feed that back to D&H, and we'll get that to the operations group. They actively look for feedback and have made some changes based on stuff we submitted. So that has been nice to see. You know, it's always a process, but there's some good ways to get through that. We also have our Cisco specialist team that can help you there too. So if maybe you haven't done a deal reg, or you've only done it a couple times, want some best practices, they can help walk you through that too. But yeah, all right.
I'll add one more thing to that, Aaron, real quick, if you don't mind, right? So,
sure.
Vince, I'm just going to say, I hear you. I feel your pain, right? I've created multiple deals prior to my career at Cisco as well, from a partner's perspective. And one of the biggest requests that we made recently was all the programs and promotions that are available inside CCW. We never know when to, which promotion to choose. We've kind of narrowed our collaboration promotions down to mainly one. It's called Activate the Workplace promotion, and there'll be a link on the resources tab towards that as well, so you can check it out. That's where some of the greatest discounts are from a devices standpoint, and then also includes the ability for you to add network encryption, thousand eyes, and some other things inside there. The great thing about the deal registration now is that once you put the product into CCW, there is just a slider button. You click the Explore Incentives button, and it actually will give you the incentives that are available for that particular bill of materials that you have on the deal. You click the slider button, and the pricing automatically uploads right into that particular deal registration. So it has made it a lot simpler for everybody to understand the promotions that are available. But as we're consolidating our promotions into a single promotion, it makes it easier for us to manage. So I look forward to your feedback when you do the next deal registration that you do, right, to check it out. But feel free to use definitely the guys at D&H to help with any deal registration you have.
All right, nice. Thank you, Mike. So my cast of experts here, Mike Brooks, Michael Riley, ProTech, And Amanda from afar, caught in the weather. I want to thank all of you very much for adding your expertise and helping our partners. We really appreciate it. If you as the participants here have any needs from us, you can reach out to Cisco specialist at D&H. They can help you with the sales side of things, deal reg, that sort of stuff. And then on the more technical side of things, Cisco Engineering at dnh.com. That'll get you over to our team of engineers that work with me. Mike Riley specifically is our collaboration SE, so most likely you'll be working with him. But we're always happy to help. And from D&H here, stay safe and warm out there. And thank you so much for joining us. We hope to see you soon.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care. Thanks for having us. Take care. Stay warm.